Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Taproom Success. I'm Carrie Shumway, your co-host, along with my good buddy Andrew Copeland. Andrew, how are you doing today?
Harry, it's great to be your co-host. It's been a hot summer so far. I feel like I haven't seen you enough, so it's good to catch up today.
It is good to catch up, and it has been a hot summer. It's the busy summer selling. It's beer drinking season, so we want to talk to folks about
And you
that.
got to stay cool, so you might need another.
You might need another. That's true. This is kind of going to be our topic today for do you want another? So you said you were going to start with a very obvious statement. What is this obvious statement that people
The
should be?
obvious statement, Carrie, is that busy tap rooms sell more beer.
No, they don't.
Well, I mean, it's not just people hanging out. Normally, they're going there for a reason. And there's the rumors that the Gen Z folk might not be drinking as much. But if you have a full tap room, I would make the assumption that people there are going to spend more money as opposed to when you have not a busy tap room. Would you agree to that if I frame it
Okay,
that
that's
way?
fair. That's fair. I'll agree to that.
What were you disagreeing with?
I was just giving you a hard time. I like to do that sometimes.
So like that's the statement. And I posted about this on LinkedIn and someone essentially commented, duh. Well, I'm like, well, yeah, that's the point. I mean, looking at the data, busy tap rooms do sell more beer. But the reason I wanted to dive into this is not just saying your tap room is going to make more money on a busy tap room, but more importantly, I was curious if by having a busy tap room, a single guest is more likely to purchase a second drink. So we went a little bit deeper than like the surface level there. And
Good.
so the data that I first went down was the likelihood of a guest purchasing a second drink based on how full the tap room is. And when I say how full the tap room is for the sake of this data I'm about to share, it's upon arrival. So essentially when you first walk in. And like, what do you think the answer there is, Carrie? Like, is someone more likely to purchase that second drink on an empty tap room, busy tap room, somewhere in the middle? Like, what's the sweet spot?
Well, that's a good. I didn't quite see that. Yeah. Gosh, I guess I'm gonna say busy only because it's like, oh, the vibe's cool. I want to stick around a little longer. If it's empty, you're like, all right, maybe this place is dead. Let's go somewhere else. Am I
So
right?
I think ultimately you are right.
Yes.
We do see that a guest is more likely to purchase a second drink if the tap room's packed versus empty. And the way we get to this through our secret hopper data, we ask them, how busy is it upon arrival? Is it empty, quarter full, half full, three-quarters full, or packed? And we also ask the question, did you purchase a second drink? And we'll get into it in a minute whether or not the staff encouraged it. But what we see is if the tap room is empty, you know, not much of a vibe when you're the only person there. Essentially, two-thirds of the time, a guest might purchase another drink. But when the tap room is packed, the guest is going to purchase a second drink 86% of the time.
Wow.
Literally, it's 32% more likely than an empty tap room. So, and that kind of does blow my mind because, of course, obviously the busy tap room is going to generate more money. But seeing the difference between that guest likelihood for empty versus packed, that's a big deal, right?
That's a huge deal. And it probably also begs the question, like if it's super busy, maybe training staff to give them that prompt is more important because they're running around too, right? They're trying to take care of all these additional guests. But the data is a great way to kind of prompt them and say, hey, they're much more likely to get that additional beer if you ask them at this point. So we got to put an emphasis on that, I would think.
And that's kind of the second level that really interested me because like we've been in busy tap rooms before and we've joked about, well, the line's so long, I'm just going to go next door because it's just so easier, or I'm going to leave because I don't want to have to deal with that ordering process again. But despite, that theory, guests are more likely to purchase in a busier tap room and they're spending more. Once again, everybody, duh, of course they're going to spend more if they purchase that second beer. But if you look at the guest in a packed tap room, they are from going from like likelihood of a second drink to overall spend. In a packed tap room, they're spending $63. That's the overall tab, about two guests, including tip. On an empty tap room, it's only about $49. So once again, well, yeah, of course a guest is going to spend more when they're buying that second drink. But it's interesting to see that it's $14 more on that tab just by, having people in your tap room. But really, I mean, you got to think about your staff's role in all this. It's not just busy tap room equals more sales. We're seeing that happen, but there's certain things you can do to help increase the guest likelihood of that. And simple answer there is, hey, Carrie, would you like another lager? You look like you really enjoyed that. And like across all visits, not thinking about levels of busyness, we've seen this for years. 6 out of 10 guests are asked if they want another beverage. We still, and this number hasn't changed much over the years. 4 out of 10 guests aren't being asked if they want another.
Really?
Like, I want to get better at that.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Like, what have you learned anything new? Any prompts? I've talked to different brewery owners, and one suggestion that kind of came out was, that it's a 100% mandatory ask. It's not like, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. But sort of training this, it's automatic. Do you want another? As opposed to, geez, I wonder if I should. That guy looks like does that any other techniques that you've heard of that have been effective?
I'll get there in a second, but one thing I want to throw out there is like people listen, you're probably like, well, my table only does bar service. Some people sit at tables, some people do table service. What about the people on the patio? Yes, I get there are all these things that play into it. But as a whole, this is what we're seeing. And one thing that actually surprises me, staff are actually the least likely to encourage a second drink during an empty tap room.
Hmm.
Least likely. I mean, like, what do you have to do? Like, just ask the guests if they want that. You have a lot to do. I get that. But staff are only asking the question 53% of the time in an empty tap room. You look at a quarter full 61% of the time, half full 59, three-quarters full 64%, when packed 55%. So it's kind of like all over the place. There's no real pattern there. But the pattern is, well, the moral of the story is we're not doing it enough. So I think now we can really kind of dive into the things that you can do to increase it, which I think was what you were asking. And we see that when the staff suggests it, it increases the second drink rate from 72% to 82%. So you're seeing the impact about that. So like putting it like in the numbers, like roughly asking the question, you're going to get 10 more second drink sales when you ask the question.
Hmm.
And once again, that's not nothing,
Yeah.
but here are some moments I think you all can think about to remind your staff. Maybe print it out, put it behind the bar. Here are some examples of when you should ask the question. And number one, we love flights, Carrie. So when I'm finishing up that flight, hey, Andrew, which did you like best? Would you like a pint of it? I think in that situation, I would bet very, very few people say no to that. Because after a flight, I feel like you're trying to find what's right for you. And when you ask that question, I'm like, you know what? I do want to go all in on that one. So that is scenario one. Also, every tap room has the rule of when your glass gets below a quarter or a third, whatever that rule is when you're getting to that point, ask the guest, can I grab you another one of those? Or do you want to try something different? Also, if your team is kind of just checking in on the tables, checking on the guests at the bar, hey, while I'm here grabbing your dirty dishes or whatever, can I get you another? It's just that simple touch point. How about when you deliver food? If you're a brew pub and you just bring out someone's meal, would you like anything else to pair with this? Or really just any point when you check in. Hey, Carrie, how's it going? Can I grab you another? Just simple little questions that no one's going to get offended by, but they're going to be more likely to say yes when you ask.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I think it's definitely spotty. I mean, that happening is very spotty, and it is sometimes the model, right? If the tap room doesn't really do table service, that interaction is kind of hard to, or if they do it, but to your point, they're just coming to kind of grab the glasses because they're running it. That's a great opportunity to ask. But I agree with your stats. It's like 50 to 60% of the time, maybe. I even feel like for me, my personal experience, it's even less. But it kind of goes with what we always talk about is if you don't ask, you don't get. And it's a very simple prompt. Most people, I want to be asked all the time, do you want to like, I always say, I better not. Nah, I'm good. But most of the time, yeah, I do want to have another one. But without that prompt, and your data shows it, it's, people are much less likely to do it. So they're there, this is the opportunity to have them have another, but you got
It's
to
simple.
ask.
Would you like another? Just ask the question. And for this episode, we can't help you out with getting butts and seats in the tap room, but asking the question is going to help you build deeper connections, increase those tab sales, and yeah, it's a win, I think. Just train your staff on the times to ask the question and just check in regularly and look at the data. Look at your individual team members, look at their average spends. There's going to be a direct correlation between the tab size and the staff who are asking the questions.
So these are, I mean, some of these things that we talk about are sounding very obvious, right? But by our own experience and Andrew's data shows is that they're just not happening. So you might say, yeah, no kidding, you should ask. And it's like, yeah, no kidding, you're not asking. So we kind of bring these up more as not as instructional, but more as reminders, like, hey, these are ways because we all have the same problem. We're trying to get more people in, sure, but once they're there, how do we increase that sale? How do we get more? And by simply asking, the data shows that'll work. So if you want more obvious ideas like this, but more to the point is the data that supports it, and maybe some techniques to get your staff to kind of embrace it. And we'd love to have you join the conversation at Taproom Success. Every month we do our monthly mastermind meetings where people come together. We talk about challenges, opportunities, share ideas and best practices, and we bring in our monthly guest expert to focus on a specific topic that can be valuable for your business. So if you want to learn more, you can check it out, taproomsuccess.com. Andrew, did I miss anything in our
You did a great job, Carrie. It's been great hanging out with you today.
It's been great hanging out with you. For everybody listening, hope you have a wonderful summer and a busy selling season. And just don't forget, ask them, do you want
See you
another?
soon.